This is your daily briefing. You're most welcome to it. Let's start with a comedy item. Emerson Royal may not have played for Tottenham against Brighton, but that didn't stop Jamie O'Hara from ripping into him this weekend ahead of the game against Brighton and Hove Albion. Former Tottenham midfielder O'Hara, I think he played maybe 31, 35 Premier League games. Spinning a lot of candy floss out, not much sugar, this boy. O'Hara slammed the Brazilian and said he'd pay someone to take him off of Spurs' hands. I would pay someone to take him off our hands. I ain't got a lot in my bank, but I'll give you $5 million to get rid of this liability because he's costing us every week. Daddy, please get back fit. Jed Spence, what do we pay for him? 15 million? Get him in the team. Connie, I don't know why you're keep putting your neck on a chopping block for this geezer. It's like having Aurier. Yeah, I have to say this is typical O'Hara. Lots of but not much thought. Aurier did make some colossal mistakes, but his heart was in the right place. He played with passion for Spurs on more occasions than he was a nightmare. And did a lot of good, incidentally, and he's a decent chap. Jed Spence, I think, will let Antonio Conte be in charge of his neck and the chopping block relationship, if that's all right with you, Jamie. There's clearly an issue, and whatever is going on, and we'll come on to that, with the guys that have come in, and he said the products that have come in, they're not performing. Gill was and Bissouma's not been brilliant. Bentancur, I think people are getting overly excited about. But yeah, and the only other thing I'd say, which is going to sound a bit churlish, have you really got £5 million in the bank? Have you?
Oh, hell no!
Tottenham are planning a multi-million-pound upgrade of the retractable pitch just 3 years after opening up their £1 billion home. We're throwing more money at this. This guy Levy is diseased. All infrastructure. It really gets him going. It's like Viagra. The Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is the only purpose-built NFL ground outside America, with a state-of-the-art grass surface in 3 sections rolling back to reveal an artificial pitch used for NFL games. And also concerts, rock concerts. I think they're a better idea. And perhaps I should zip it on the NFL thing, because I clearly don't like it. I've got no time for it. I've never sat through an entire game. I just think it's silly boys rugby. I see the logic in putting on Guns N' Roses, if you can get the sound right. Lady Gaga, Billy Idol, Miley Cyrus, those sort of acts people want to see these days. That makes loads of sense to me. But this needs to be more than 2 games a year. Is that unreasonable? Is it unreasonable? For the investment, the level of money that has been thrown at this, because this is substantial money from the actual £1 billion stadium. If you took away this thing, the retractable thing, it wouldn't be close to £1 billion. You know that. But this is the killer, and I was unaware of this because I didn't get sucked into watching. I wasn't attracted. Phrased my words wisely here. I wasn't attracted to the architecture porn videos that were doing the rounds, but apparently the process of this unrolling it out and 3 bits of turf and all of it takes 48 hours. Mark 1 technology. That would be my thing there. I called it out as Mark 1 technology. When it was announced, everybody else is screaming, yeah, we're the first. That would worry me enormously because I have some understanding of the world, and Mark 1 technology is traditionally not the finest. So the 48 hours leaving little margin for error this week, as Tottenham and Eintracht Frankfurt players are due to train on the grass on Tuesday before their Champions League clash on Wednesday. Spurs have been alerted to technological improvements since the original pitch was installed and are examining if the conversion could be made quicker, which would give them greater flexibility when staging other events, which I think is where Enix's heart lies. Why aren't there more concerts booked in? Everybody's open for business. I'm seeing tickets for all bands all over the place, up and down the country, across Europe. States is opened up again, and where's Guns N' Roses and Lady Gaga were on the books forever. They've been done. So where's the next ones? And I think that's where the real money is. And I'm going to mention it again because I'm a tedious little... But if you're going to take £1 million in on food and beverages on these things, which is tremendous, what's the point of that? Is if you've got a player like Ndombele out on loan, who every 10 weeks costs you £1 million. But then I'm an imbecile, and Daniel Levy is an incredibly respected businessman. And following on from that, all I'm going to say is show me the money. The Athletic has learned that Tottenham are in meaningful talks with Google over naming rights for the 62,850-seater capacity stadium, which hosted an NFL match. We know all that. Yeah, so fantastic. But every now and again, these things come along and nobody ever signs. And until that happens, we've got a problem. Because that was factored in. That was part of how the business, how the club has been leveraged into the middle of the next stratosphere. And we'll just talk about this for a moment, the business about the money and the stadium and all the rest of it. If I see another person in my lifetime, my head is going to pop off my shoulders talking about the business of somebody coming in to buy Spurs. It's never going to happen. I'm not saying it's impossible. Of course it could happen, but any other club in England would represent better value. We have been invested. We have been leveraged to within an inch of our lives. If anybody came in at this stage and paid what ENIC would want for this business, as it is a going concern, they would never see any of their money back in this lifetime. It just doesn't make any sense. Where this is the end of the rainbow, we're through the looking glass. There is no second round funding when you hit this size of enterprise. So just why kid yourselves? The mentality, the people that have these discussions online, in the world of finance, they are children, and we must pull them up. Don't ignore them, but just tell them they're talking absolute rot. So we're fully into the football, and I've got to tell you, I'll give you this headline from the Daily Mail. Who writes this stuff? As Erling Haaland takes the plaudits, Harry Kane is quietly challenging the goal-scoring greats Jimmy Greaves, Alan Shearer and Wayne Rooney after the Tottenham star scored his 8th goal of the campaign against Brighton. Who writes this? Who told you that you could work with men? Erling Haaland is on target to A, be a household name, to B, win the Premier League in his first season, and to be part of history that counts. That's not taking plaudits, that's lifting silverware and changing outcomes. And love Jimmy Greaves, didn't have any time for Alan Shearer, Wayne Rooney, not so keen on him either. But this business of stat padding as being an achievement, it doesn't do anything for me. And I was brought up in this country following English football, and I don't understand how people are writing in these terms. They must have a much broader sense of the world, and they must have been infected by American sports, because that's the way they do it. And I would humbly submit, in my little England way, that that's not the way that we do it. So yeah, if he does score more goals than Jimmy Greaves, but Jimmy Greaves lifted silverware, Jimmy Greaves was known for more than being a stat padder. What's the deal with Yves Bissouma? In an exclusive chat with Caught Offside, Fabrizio Romano confirmed that the player is still adapting to Conte's ideas, but is working hard in training. I don't understand that at all. If any of you can understand that, translate that. Comments box is your friend. Romano further claims that the Tottenham staff are happy with his progress on the training pitch. Bissouma was probably not 100% ready for Conte's ideas, Romano explained, but I'm told he's working hard to improve and the staff are happy with his progress. It will be interesting to see if the 26-year-old can force his way into Conte's first team plans over the next few weeks. There is no doubt that Bissouma is a quality player and he could be an asset for Tottenham in the long run. I'm struggling to see how complicated this is, because Bissouma was a player that I thought lots of people thought was rather good, and I kind of thought that was part of the reason that we went out and bought him. One niggle is obviously this business with the yellow cards, and one suggestion to improve Yves' lot would be get him to engage his brain more. Looking at his career, he has a yellow card generating machine in his back pocket. 10 Premier League yellows last season and 8 the season before that. And perhaps what's rattling the boy at Spurs, because I went through the whole thing, which was fun, is that his yellow cards at Tottenham have come much earlier in the game than they have when he was at Brighton. At Spurs, he's been carded, and rightly so, in the 31st and 20th minutes, leaving himself exposed. And his cards at Brighton in the main tended to be much later in the game. And he's getting carded and then appearing to be rattled and undermined by it. What we do know with some degree of certainty, as I say, is that Bissouma used to be a player that most people thought was quite tasty. Spurs need to sort this out as a matter of urgency, as our midfield is an unsatisfactory mess. And just on that point, I saw Rodrigo Bentancur being referred to as a Rolls Royce after Saturday's game. He lost possession 16 times, which simply isn't good enough and not very Rolls Royce-like. Just to leave you with this, because we've been talking about, the second to last item, talking about the way Spurs are set up and if Conte's choking us or not. It's worth our consideration looking at these two graphics that show us what we already knew. Tottenham only spent 15% of their passing activity in the attacking third. And it's not unreasonable to suggest that if Brighton, as with one or two others we faced this season, had a better attacking player wealth on their books, then Spurs could have been in trouble, just as they were against Arsenal. I mean, look at the Wolves game. Wolves played very well. Attacking third went to pieces. And if you look at the pictures there, the graphics there, we've got 15% over there and we've got 31% over there from the hosts. So, that's not normal. That's not right. Ryan Sessegnon was gifted man of the match, which of course has been rebadged as player of the match. And to that end, I'm calling woke fuckery at play here. Look at the match data. Several players ahead of Ryan, notably Højbjerg, heavy lifting all over the place, and Harry Kane's header was technically insane. That's it for now. Good luck. Keep it Tottenham.